They want revenge. Same thing. Translucent figures began forming around the well's edge. The spirits of Sullivan's victims, finally able to manifest their rage. A little girl in a yellow dress stood next to Cole, her small hand reaching toward his face. Tell us how. The ghostly voices surrounded them now, urgent and pleading. Tell us how to stop him. Back in Cole's kitchen, they spread the evidence across the table under the harsh glow of an oil lamp. Maya sorted through photographs while Cole examined the maps. Red pins marked properties Sullivan had acquired over the years, a pattern of systematic theft stretching across 3 counties. Look at this. Maya held up a photo of the Hendricks family. Papa wrote notes on the back. Said they refused to sell their farm. Found dead in their barn 2 weeks later. Cole traced a finger along the map. Every red pin represents a family that disappeared or died under suspicious circumstances. The ghost child appeared beside the table, pointing toward the back door. She moved through the kitchen like she belonged there, her yellow dress rustling with each step. Maya and Cole followed her outside to an old root cellar, half hidden behind the house. Inside, beneath moldy potato sacks, they found a metal box. Maya's hands shook as she opened it. More files, more evidence, all in her father's careful handwriting. Papa knew they'd come for him. Cole examined a document detailing Sullivan's campaign finances. Smart man. Not smart enough. Maya found Sullivan's campaign schedule in the files. Tomorrow night, he was hosting a fundraiser at his estate, celebrating his run for governor. All the counties wealthy and powerful would be there. That's when we do it. In front of all those people, best witnesses we could ask for. The temperature in the root cellar dropped suddenly. Their breath came out in white puffs. The ghost child reached for Maya's hand, her touch ice cold but somehow comforting. Other spirits began manifesting around them. Men in work clothes, women in faded dresses, children who would never grow up. They're getting restless. Cole watched the spirits circle them. Their translucent faces filled with rage and sorrow. Good, let them be angry. Back in the house, Maya cleaned her father's service revolver. The weight of it felt right in her hands, like holding a piece of him. Cole sat across from her, methodically cleaning his hunting rifle. Each click of the weapon's parts sounded loud in the quiet kitchen. The windows began to rattle without any wind outside. Pictures on the walls shifted crooked. The spirits were gathering strength, feeding off their determination for justice. Maya loaded 6 bullets into the revolver's chamber and snapped it closed. The ghost child appeared beside her chair, small fingers touching Maya's wrist. The cold touch sent shivers up her arm, but she didn't pull away. You ain't alone in this. Cole looked up from his rifle, meeting her eyes across the table. Neither are you. Cowboy. Sullivan's mansion blazed against the night sky, every window glowing with warm light. Cars lined the circular driveway, expensive sedans and luxury trucks belonging to the county's wealthy elite. Maya and Cole crouched behind the hedge that bordered the back gardens, the evidence bag clutched in Maya's hands. Music and laughter drifted from the open windows. Inside, men in suits and women in cocktail dresses raised champagne glasses to toast Sullivan's gubernatorial campaign. Maya watched them through the glass, these people who had turned a blind eye to Sullivan's crimes for decades. The temperature dropped suddenly. Their breath came out in white clouds, despite the warm summer night. Around them, translucent figures began materializing among the rose bushes and ornamental trees. The spirits of Sullivan's victims had followed them here, drawn by the promise of justice. They slipped through the back door into a service hallway. Maya led the way, following the sound of Sullivan's voice echoing from his study. Through the partially open door, they could see him holding court with a small group of donors, regaling them with stories of his political victories. Cole kicked the door open. The donors scattered like startled birds, fleeing through the opposite exit. Sullivan remained behind his massive oak desk, older and crueler than Maya had imagined. His silver hair was slicked back, and his eyes held the dead coldness of a man who had killed without conscience. Sheriff Reed's daughter. His voice carried no surprise, only mild interest. Maya stepped forward, her father's gun steady in her hand. "You killed my papa," Sullivan smiled, a thin expression that never reached his eyes. Proved nothing. Maya dropped the evidence bag on his desk. Photographs scattered across the polished wood. Documents spread like accusations. Sullivan's face went pale as he recognized his own crimes laid bare before him. The ghost child appeared behind his chair, her small finger pointing at his head. Other spirits materialized around the room. Dozens of them. Men, women, children. All the people Sullivan had murdered over the years. You see them. Sullivan's eyes darted around the room, terror replacing his arrogance. See what? Your victims. The spirits pressed closer, their anger filling the air like electricity before a storm. Sullivan's hand moved toward a desk drawer. He pulled out a chrome pistol, but Cole was faster. His rifle cracked once, and the gun spun from Sullivan's hand, clattering across the floor. They want their due. The spirits reached for Sullivan with translucent hands. He stumbled backward, his chair toppling over. The window was behind him now, 3 stories above the stone patio. You can't... This is impossible. Their ghostly fingers touched his face, his arms, his chest. Sullivan screamed, a sound of pure terror that shattered the night. He crashed through the window in an explosion of glass and wood frame. Maya and Cole rushed to look down. Sullivan lay on the stones below, his neck bent at an unnatural angle, his dead eyes staring up at the stars. Dawn broke over Sullivan's estate, painting the sky in soft pink and gold. Police sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer with each passing minute. Cole had called them 20 minutes ago, his voice steady and calm as he reported Sullivan's death and directed them to the evidence scattered across the study floor. Maya sat on the stone patio beside Sullivan's broken body, her father's badge heavy in her palm. For the first time since finding him dead on the kitchen floor, she felt Thomas Reed's presence beside her, not as a ghost, but as a warm memory that would never leave her heart. It's over, Papa. The ghost child appeared one final time at the edge of the garden, her yellow dress bright in the morning light. She smiled at Maya, a peaceful expression that spoke of justice finally served. As the sun climbed higher, the little girl began to fade, her translucent form dissolving like morning mist. Around the estate grounds, other spirits followed suit, their earthly business complete at last. Cole walked over and extended his weathered hand. Maya took it, letting him pull her to her feet. The crushing weight of grief remained in her chest, but it no longer threatened to destroy her completely. What now? Now we live together. If you'll have a broken-down cowboy. Maya studied his face, seeing the years of pain and loneliness etched in the deep lines around his eyes. She squeezed his hand tighter. Papa always said broken things can be fixed, with the right hands and the right heart. They walked toward Cole's truck as police cars flooded the circular driveway. Investigators would spend days cataloging Sullivan's crimes, but Maya already knew what came next. She would apply to be the new sheriff, continue her father's work, protecting the people Sullivan would have destroyed. You sure about this life? With you? Yes, it won't be easy. Nothing good ever is. Cole started the engine, and Maya leaned against his shoulder, finally allowing herself to grieve properly. But she was no longer alone. In the rearview mirror, the ghost child waved goodbye one last time before vanishing forever. Thank you, Cowboy. For what? Holding me when I needed it most. They drove toward home, toward healing, toward a future built on justice and unexpected love. My papa died this morning. Can you hold me, Cowboy? The rancher's words changed his life. Forever Maya's fist hammered against the weathered wood, each strike sending pain through her knuckles. Blood had dried on her cotton dress, dark stains spreading across the blue fabric like spilled wine. Her other hand clutched a crumpled letter, the paper damp with sweat and something darker. The porch creaked under her weight as she swayed, exhaustion pulling at her bones. The door swung open. A man filled the frame, tall and broad-shouldered, his face carved by years of sun and work. Cole Winters stepped forward, taking in the sight of her wild hair and tear-streaked cheeks. "Ma'am, what in the hell? My papa died this morning." The words fell between them like stones. Cole's eyes moved from her face to the blood on her dress, then back again. She watched him process what he was seeing, watched the concern replace confusion. "Ma'am, can you hold me, Cowboy?" Her voice broke on the last word. Her knees buckled, and she fell forward against the doorframe. Cole caught her before she hit the ground, his arms wrapping around her trembling body. She pressed her face against his chest, breathing in the scent of leather and hay. "Easy now," he murmured, one hand stroking her hair. "Easy," the sobs came then, violent and raw. They shook her entire frame as she clung to this stranger who felt safer than anyone she had left in the world. Through the crying, words spilled out in broken pieces. "They killed him, made it look like his heart gave out. But I saw what they did." Cole pulled back enough to look at her face. "Who killed him?" Maya fumbled with the letter in her hand, unfolding the blood-stained paper. Her father's handwriting sprawled across it in uneven lines, words pressed deep into the page. At the bottom, circled in red ink, was a name. "Sheriff Thomas Reed was my papa," she whispered. "And he wrote your name before he died." Cole stared at the letter, his face going pale. "Jesus Christ." Maya sat at Cole's kitchen table, her hands wrapped around a steaming coffee mug. The letter lay spread before them, bloodstains making some words hard to read. The overhead light cast harsh shadows across the paper as she began to read aloud. "Governor Sullivan has been stealing land for 20 years. Families forced off their property through false legal claims and violence. I have evidence, photos, documents, witness statements. They know I'm close to exposing everything." Her voice cracked on the last sentence. Cole leaned forward, studying the cramped handwriting. Maya continued reading. "If something happens to me, find Cole Winters. He knows the truth about Sullivan's methods. Trust him." She looked up from the letter. "Papa wrote your name. Why?" Cole stood and walked to the window, staring out at the dark fields. "Your father helped me once." "Helped you what?" "Stay alive." Maya waited, watching the tension in his shoulders. Cole turned back to face her. 15 years ago, Sullivan framed me for cattle rustling. Said I stole 50 head from his ranch. Had witnesses lined up to swear they saw me do it. But you didn't. Course I didn't. But Sullivan owns half the county. Judges, lawyers, law enforcement. All except your papa. Cole sat back down across from her. Sheriff Reed knew the evidence was planted. Knew the witnesses were lying. He helped me disappear before they could arrest me. Maya's eyes widened. That's why you're hiding out here. Been here ever since. Your father saved my life that night. Told me to lay low until he could prove Sullivan was dirty. She folded the letter carefully. 15 years later, Papa finally had enough evidence. And Sullivan killed him for it. The words hung in the air between them. Maya stared at the coffee growing cold in her hands. They killed him for doing right. Cole nodded grimly. And they'll kill you too if you don't run. Maya's jaw set with determination. She met his eyes across the table. I ain't running. Maya insisted on helping with the evening chores. She needed something to do with her hands, something to keep her mind from circling back to her father's body on the kitchen floor. Cole handed her a bucket and pointed toward the feed bins. The barn smelled of hay and old wood, familiar scents that reminded her of childhood visits to her uncle's farm. She worked in silence, scooping grain into the bucket, letting the repetitive motion calm her nerves. Near the back wall, she noticed a loose board in one of the feed bins. Curiosity got the better of her. Behind the board, wrapped in oilcloth, she found a small bundle of photographs. The first one made her breath catch. Cole stood with his arm around a beautiful woman with dark hair and kind eyes. A little girl with pigtails sat on his shoulders, grinning at the camera. Footsteps creaked behind her. Cole appeared in the doorway, freezing when he saw what she held. Who are they? His face went white. My wife. My daughter. Where? Sullivan's men. 5 years back. Maya set the photos down carefully. What happened? Cole leaned against the barn wall, suddenly looking older than his years. I tried to come back. Thought enough time had passed that maybe I could clear my name. Sullivan's people found out I was in town. They killed your family. Made it look like an accident. Truck ran off Miller's Ridge, said the brakes failed. The barn doors slammed shut behind them with a bang that echoed through the empty space. Maya spun around, heart racing. No wind had been blowing outside. What the hell? Cold air swirled around them, carrying the scent of winter even though it was still summer. Maya's breath came out in visible puffs. In the corner of her vision, she caught movement between the horse stalls. A small shadow, child-sized, darting from one post to another. You see her too. Cole's voice was barely a whisper. Maya nodded, unable to speak. The shadow moved closer, and for a moment she could make out the shape of a little girl in a yellow dress. Your daughter? She's been waiting. The ghost child stopped near the barn's back window and raised one small hand. She pointed through the glass towards something outside. Maya followed her gaze and saw an old stone well partially hidden by overgrown weeds. She wants us to look. The well stood 20 yards behind the barn, its stone walls cracked and weathered by decades of neglect. Weeds had grown up around the base, hiding most of the structure from view. Maya pulled them away, while Cole fetched a lantern from the barn. How deep you think it goes? Cole peered over the edge into the darkness. Deep enough. Maya tied rope around the lantern handle and began lowering it down. The light swayed as it descended, casting dancing shadows on the stone walls. 10 feet down, 20, 30. Then the lantern stopped moving. Something's blocking it. She adjusted the angle, and the light illuminated what lay at the bottom. Maya's breath caught in her throat. Scattered bones gleamed white in the lantern's glow. Rib cages and skulls, arm bones and leg bones, all mixed together like discarded puzzle pieces. Jesus Christ! Cole grabbed the rope and pulled the lantern closer to one side of the well. There, caught on a jutting stone, hung a small yellow dress. The fabric was faded and torn, but still recognizable. Sarah, his voice broke on the name. Maya looked at him, seeing the recognition and horror in his eyes. Your daughter, and others. So many others. As Maya moved the lantern around, she counted at least 6 different skeletons. Men, women, children, all dumped into the same dark hole and forgotten. Wait. She angled the light toward a canvas bag wedged against the well's side. That's Papa's evidence bag. Cole lowered a longer rope and managed to hook the bag's handle. When he pulled it up, photographs and documents spilled out. Pictures of Sullivan with known criminals. Bank records showing suspicious land transfers. Witness statements from families who had been threatened. Sullivan's been disappearing people for decades. Maya started photographing everything with her phone, documenting each piece of evidence. As she worked, a sound rose from the depths of the well. Voices soft and mournful, speaking words she couldn't quite make out. You hear that? Cole nodded. The voices grew louder, more distinct. Men and women, young and old, all speaking at once. Maya felt no fear, only a deep ache that matched her own grief. They want justice.